The 5 a.m. secret that changed everything. Have you ever set your alarm for 5 o'clock in the morning with every intention of actually getting up, only to slam the snooze button and not open your eyes until 8 o'clock, drowning in guilt the whole time? Perhaps you've come across the idea that the most successful people on the planet are early risers. Maybe you've given it a shot yourself, once, twice, or even a dozen times, but every single time, you end up falling back into the same routine. You convince yourself, I'm just not built for mornings. My body needs the rest. But what if I told you that the very first hour after you open your eyes has the ability to completely reshape the rest of your life? What if one man's journey could prove that your future is actually determined before the sun ever comes up? This is the story of a man who had absolutely nothing, until 5 a.m. became the turning point that saved him. Stay with me through the whole thing, because this might just be the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. In a small, dusty industrial town where factory machines never seemed to stop, there lived a 32-year-old man by the name of Thomas. Thomas spent his nights working as a security guard at a textile warehouse. Every evening around 8 p.m., he showed up at the entrance. And every morning at 6 a.m., completely worn out and drained of energy, he dragged himself back home to sleep. His paycheck barely covered his basic needs. He lived in a cramped one-room apartment, a mattress thrown on the floor, a broken ceiling fan that did nothing, and a single light bulb that flickered every time the power dropped. His clothes were worn thin. His shoes had holes worn right through them. But beyond the physical hardship, Thomas carried a heavier burden inside. He felt completely stuck. Every single morning on his walk home through the quiet town, he'd catch glimpses of other people's lives through their windows. Families sitting down to breakfast together, kids getting ready for school, men in pressed shirts heading out to their office jobs. And Thomas would think to himself, is this all my life is ever going to be? Walking home while the rest of the world is waking up to chase their dreams. He had made attempts to break free. He'd sent in applications for better-paying positions, but without anything beyond a high school diploma, every single door shut in his face. He wanted to pick up new skills, but after pulling an entire night shift, the only thing he had the energy for was collapsing into bed. His mother, who lived out in the countryside, would check in on him once a week with a phone call. Thomas, my son, when are things going to get better for you? I'm not getting any younger. I want to watch you succeed while I still can. Thomas would put on a cheerful voice, even though nothing inside him felt cheerful. Soon, Mama. Soon. I'm working on it. But the truth was, he wasn't working on anything, because he had no idea where to even begin. The thing that haunted him the most was this: he wasn't lazy. Not even close. He put in a full night's work every single shift, walking the perimeter, staying sharp, doing everything his job demanded. But all that effort wasn't moving the needle on his life. He was grinding away in a situation that was leading nowhere. And every morning, as he fell into bed somewhere around 7 a.m., not waking up until 4 o'clock in the afternoon, he couldn't shake the feeling that he was living his life completely backward. The rest of the world was moving forward while he slept right through it. One thought kept creeping back into his mind, over and over, like a voice he couldn't shut out. There has to be another way. But what could it possibly be? One bitter cold Tuesday morning in November, Thomas's phone rang just as he was wrapping up his shift and heading out. It was his sister on the other end. Thomas, you need to get home right now. Mama collapsed. She's at the hospital. His stomach dropped. He caught the very first bus heading back to his village, a grueling 3-hour ride that felt like it took an entire day. By the time he walked into that small rural clinic, his mother was lying in a bed, looking frail but still conscious. The doctor told him she had passed out from sheer exhaustion and the stress she'd been carrying. She needed proper rest, better nutrition, and medication, none of which they could realistically afford. His mother reached out and wrapped her fingers around his hand, her voice barely above a whisper. Thomas, I don't have a lot of time left. Please, my son, don't throw your life away the way I threw mine away. Find a way out. Promise me. Thomas sat by her side long after she drifted off to sleep. He studied her hands that had spent decades working in the fields, just the same way he spent his nights walking warehouse floors. Both of them putting in the work. Both of them going absolutely nowhere. Something inside him shattered. Not from sadness, from anger. A burning anger at his own inability to do anything about his situation. He stepped outside the clinic into the darkness before dawn. It was 5 a.m. The whole village was still sound asleep, but a handful of farmers were already making their way out to the fields. Birds had started singing. The air was crisp and clean. And standing there in that peaceful morning stillness, Thomas made a decision that would alter the course of everything. "Enough," he whispered under his breath. "I refuse to keep living like this. I don't care what it costs me. I'm going to find a way out." On the long bus ride back into town, something caught his eye. Across the aisle sat a man who looked to be in his 50s, well put together, neatly dressed, quietly absorbed in a book, looking completely at peace with the world. Thomas recognized him immediately. It was Mr. Chin, a well-known businessman in town who ran several shops. What really threw Thomas off was the time on the clock, 6 a.m. A man clearly successful enough to afford a car, riding a regular public bus at the crack of dawn. Thomas gathered every bit of courage he had. "Excuse me, sir. If you don't mind my asking, why are you on this bus so early?" Mr. Chin glanced up from his book and offered a warm smile. "Because I get up at 4:30 every single morning. I use this quiet time to read, to think, and to lay out my plans for the day before the rest of the world even stirs." "But don't you need more sleep?" Thomas asked. "I'm in bed by 9 p.m. That gives me 7.5 hours. More than enough." Mr. Chen took a closer look at Thomas. The dark circles, the exhaustion written all over his face. "You work the night shift, don't you?" "Yeah." "Security guard. And when do you actually get to sleep?" "Usually from about 7 a.m. until 4 o'clock in the afternoon." Mr. Chen nodded slowly, as if a puzzle piece had just clicked into place. "So you're awake when the entire world is asleep, and you're asleep when the entire world is working. No wonder you feel like you're not getting anywhere." He leaned in closer. "Young man, let me share something with you. A secret that completely changed my life about 30 years ago. The window between 5 a.m. and 7 a.m. Those 2 hours are everything. That's when you actually build the life you want, while every other person around you is still dreaming." Something sparked inside Thomas. Something dangerous and unfamiliar. "But how? I work until 6 a.m. I need sleep." "Then rearrange when you sleep," Mr. Chin said simply. "The moment you get home at 6:30, go straight to bed. Set your alarm for 11:30. That's 5 hours of rest, not ideal, but enough to get by. Then use the rest of your day while the world is awake and alive. And if you can eventually shift to a daytime job, do it, and then wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. That's the real secret." Mr. Chin pulled out a business card and scribbled his phone number on the back. "If you're genuinely serious about turning your life around, give me a call. I'll walk you through exactly what to do with those morning hours. But I mean it, only if you're truly committed, because what I'm about to describe takes a level of discipline that most people simply don't have." The bus reached Thomas's stop. He stepped off, staring at the card in his hand, and quietly made a promise to himself. "I'll start tomorrow." That very evening, Thomas did something he had never once done in his entire life. The next day at 11 a.m., he picked up the phone and called Mr. Chin. For the first time in years, Thomas was actually awake on a weekday during daylight hours. He met Mr. Chin at a small, quiet cafe. Mr. Chin studied him and nodded with a look of approval. "You actually shifted your sleep schedule. Just like that. Most people talk a big game. You actually did something about it. That tells me a lot." He pulled out a notebook and sketched a quick diagram. "Thomas, picture your life as a house. Right now, that house is dark, it's freezing cold, and it's falling apart piece by piece. And you know why? Because you've never had the chance to work on the foundation. You've been too busy just trying to survive each day." He drew the outline of a simple house. The hours from 5 to 7 a.m., that's your foundation. While everyone around you is either still asleep or just barely waking up, you're laying the groundwork for your future. He began writing numbers neatly on the page. 2 hours every morning. That adds up to 14 hours in a single week. 60 hours in a month. 730 hours in a year. He underlined the final number. That's the same as 91 full 8-hour workdays. In just 1 year, by simply waking up early, you gain the equivalent of 3 extra months that everyone else spends dead asleep. Thomas stared at the numbers, his eyes wide. 3 months, he repeated quietly. Here's exactly how you spend those 2 hours, Mr. Chen continued, his tone firm. And let me be clear, this isn't up for debate. This is the system. Hour 1, from 5 to 6 a.m., you dedicate this entire block to building a skill. Something that will genuinely shift your financial situation. Not scrolling through your phone. Not staring at the television. Actually learning something, a new language, a trade, a professional skill. Online courses are completely free these days. YouTube alone has tutorials on virtually anything you could ever want to learn. You have 0 excuses. Hour 2, from 6 to 7 a.m., you focus on your body and your mind. 30 minutes of movement, walking, jogging, stretching, whatever gets your blood pumping. Your body is the vehicle that carries everything else in your life. If it breaks down, nothing else works. Then use the remaining 30 minutes to read, map out your day, or put into practice whatever you picked up during that first hour. Thomas scribbled everything down as fast as he could in a notebook he'd borrowed. Mr. Chen then laid out 3 non-negotiable rules. Rule number 1, no exceptions. You wake up at 5 a.m. every single day. Weekdays, weekends, holidays, it doesn't matter. The moment you tell yourself, just this one day I'll skip it, that's how the whole thing falls apart. Rule number 2, you're in bed by 9 p.m. You cannot cheat your body out of sleep and expect to succeed at the same time. You don't get to choose whether you rest, but you do get to choose when. Rule number 3, the first week is going to be brutal. Your body will fight you on it. Your brain will come up with every excuse imaginable. Push through anyway. After about 21 days, it starts to feel normal. After 90 days, it becomes a part of who you are. Mr. Chen fixed Thomas with a serious, steady gaze. I'm giving you 3 months. 90 days of waking at 5 a.m., spending the first hour building a skill, and spending the second hour building yourself. After those 90 days, come find me. Show me what you've actually accomplished. If you put in the real work, I'll personally help you land a better job. But if you bail halfway through, don't even bother reaching out. Thomas felt the full weight of what was being asked of him. But underneath that weight, for the first time in a very long time, he felt something else entirely. A sense of direction. I'll do it, he said. I'm not going to quit. We'll see, Mr. Chen replied with a knowing, half-amused smile. Everyone says that at the start. The very next morning, Thomas's alarm blared at 5 a.m. Every muscle in his body screamed at him to stay put. His mind whispered seductively, just 1 more hour. You're running on fumes here. But then he pictured his mother's face in that hospital bed. He heard Mr. Chen's challenge echoing in his head. He recalled the promise he'd made to himself. He threw the covers off and hauled himself up. The first week was pure torture. Thomas forced himself out of bed each morning feeling like he'd been hit by a truck, his whole body aching from the disrupted sleep. At 5 a.m., still sitting in the dark, he hunched over his small table with his phone, watching free Excel tutorials on YouTube. His eyes stung. His thoughts kept drifting. But he refused to stop. At 6 a.m., he pushed himself out the door and walked around his neighborhood for 30 minutes, even though every step felt heavier than the last. Afterward, he spent his remaining time reading articles about accounting, a field he'd chosen to focus on because he knew that every single business, no matter how big or small, needed someone who understood numbers. By 7:30 a.m., he crawled back into bed, slept until 2 p.m., and got himself ready for another night shift at 3 o'clock. The cycle went on and on. It was grueling. It was isolating. The people around him had no idea what he was putting himself through or why. But somewhere around day 20, something shifted. One morning, Thomas's eyes opened at 4:58 a.m., 2 full minutes before the alarm was set to go off. His body had adjusted on its own. And for the very first time, when he sat up in bed, he didn't feel resentment. If you feel ready, the Excel tutorials were starting to click. He was grasping formulas, learning how to work with data, and getting a handle on basic accounting principles. He finished his first online certification course. His morning walks transformed from a painful obligation into something he genuinely looked forward to: the sunrise painting the sky, the hushed streets, the quiet satisfaction of knowing that while the rest of the town was still asleep, he was actively constructing his future. By the time the second month drew to a close, Thomas had finished 3 separate online courses covering accounting and Excel. The daily walking had trimmed him down noticeably. His thinking felt clearer than it had in years. His confidence was growing in ways he hadn't expected. People at work started commenting on it. "Thomas, something's different about you lately. You look healthier. What's going on?" He'd crack a small smile. "I'm changing my life, 2 hours at a time." In the third month, Thomas took everything he'd been quietly learning and put it to use. He built a simple Excel spreadsheet to track and organize the warehouse inventory, something the company had never properly done before. He brought it to his supervisor and walked him through it. The supervisor was genuinely impressed. "Thomas, where did you even learn how to do this?" "I get up at 5 a.m. and teach myself," Thomas said plainly. Word of what he'd done spread quickly, first to the warehouse manager, and then all the way up to the owner of the operation. On day 87 of Thomas's 5 a.m. journey, his supervisor pulled him aside and called him into the office. "Thomas, we're looking to grow our accounting team. We need someone who already understands how this warehouse runs and who has solid bookkeeping knowledge. The position is yours, if you want it. Day shift. Double what you're making right now." Thomas stood there, completely speechless. Just 3 months ago, he was a night guard with no prospects and no way out. And now he was being handed an office job. "When do I start?" was all he could manage to say. "Next Monday." That night, Thomas picked up the phone and dialed Mr. Chin. "Mr. Chin, I did it. 90 days. Not a single morning did I miss that 5 a.m. alarm. And today, I got promoted." There was a brief pause on the other end of the line. Then Mr. Chen's voice came through, warm, genuine, and proud. "I knew you would. You had something in your eyes when we first met, the look of someone who was truly ready to stop accepting things the way they were. But remember, Thomas, don't let up now. Don't think of this as something you did. Think of it as something you are. Keep waking up at 5 o'clock. That's not just a strategy anymore. That's your life." "I won't stop," Thomas said. "This is who I am now." A full year later, Thomas had risen to become the company's head accountant. He'd put aside enough money to bring his mother into town, arrange proper medical care for her, and move into a real 2-bedroom apartment, a world away from the cramped room with the flickering bulb he'd once called home. And every single morning at 5 a.m., without fail, Thomas was awake. Not because he felt obligated to be, because those 2 hours had become sacred to him. That was his time to master new software, to lose himself in business books, to map out where he was headed next. His coworkers would occasionally ask him, "Thomas, why do you still get up that early? You've already made it." He'd smile and answer the same way every time. Success isn't a place you arrive at and then stop moving. It's something you practice every single day. And for me, that practice starts at 5 a.m. My friend, the story of Thomas is living proof of something that most people refuse to believe. Your life can change. Not eventually. Not when the timing feels right or the circumstances line up perfectly. Right now. Starting tomorrow morning at 5 a.m. Here's what so many people completely miss. The gap between where you are today and where you actually want to be isn't about natural talent. It's not about luck or being born into the right situation. It's not even about working harder. It's about how you use the hours when everyone else around you is dead asleep. Between 5 o'clock and 7 a.m., the world is silent. No pings from your phone. No meetings pulling you in 10 directions. No distractions competing for your attention. Your willpower is at its strongest. Your mind is at its sharpest. This is when you do the kind of deep, focused work that actually shifts the trajectory of your entire life. The most successful people on the planet already know this. It's the reason why CEOs, professional athletes, and industry leaders are almost always up before dawn. Not because they're somehow superhuman, but because they figured out that if you win the morning, you win the day. So here is your challenge. The exact same challenge that Mr. Chen laid out for Thomas. Step 1. Tonight, before you do anything else, set your alarm for 5 a.m. Not 5:15, not 5:30, exactly 5 o'clock. And place your phone on the other side of the room so that when it goes off, you have no choice but to physically get out of bed to silence it. Step 2. Decide right now what you're going to work on during that first hour. A skill you need to develop. A business idea you've been sitting on. A certification you've been meaning to pursue. Pick one single thing and commit to it, fully without wavering, for 90 days straight. Step 3. Guard your 9 p.m. bedtime like it's the most important appointment of your day. You simply cannot pull off early mornings if you're staying up late. Put the streaming shows aside. Stop the endless scrolling. Sleep is not your enemy here. Wasted evenings are the real problem. I can promise you this much. If you get up at 5 a.m. every single day for 90 days and you actually use those 2 hours with intention and focus, your life will look completely different on the other side. Maybe you won't become a millionaire overnight. Maybe the promotion won't land in your lap right away. But you will become a fundamentally different person. Sharper, more disciplined, more capable, more sure of yourself. And that version of you? That person can accomplish virtually anything they set their mind to. Thomas started from absolute zero. No degree behind his name. No connections. No money to speak of. All he had was the choice to get up early and start building. You already have more going for you than Thomas ever did. The fact that you're watching this right now tells me you have access to the internet, to education, and to opportunity. The only real question left is, are you going to actually use it? Or are you going to hit snooze tomorrow morning and spend the next 5 years wondering why your life never moved forward? If you're ready to become part of the 5 a.m. club, hit that like button right now. Let that be your first act of commitment. Then leave a comment below and tell me, what am I going to build in my first hour tomorrow? Let's keep each other accountable. I'll be reading every single one. And if you know someone who's always talking about wanting to change their life but never actually takes the first step, share this with them. Maybe this is exactly the push they've been waiting for. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, because every single week I bring you real stories of people who completely transformed their lives, along with the exact methods they used to do it.